the day and age of realignment, among plenty of other things, and many conferences now spread across the entire map. So it's fitting that the conference named after the country we live in practically does the same, stretching from New Mexico all the way now to Delaware. So the captain, Mike Holland, will join me as we unfold our roadmap to the league known as Conference USA. Recording live from somewhere, this is One and Done.
Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that One and Done train. And it feels so good to be back. Welcome to One and Done. Bienvenidos a todos a One and Done, your fast break of college basketball información. We're powered by the galaxy's greatest website, drroto.com. I'm your sometimes humble host. My name is Jay Heinrich, and if you don't know, now you know. I'm the conductor of the aforementioned One and Done train. Shout out John Wall and shout out to you. Follow me at Dr. William Cannon. Follow us at One and Done CBB down there at the bottom of your viewing device, but follow this man first. Around here, he's known as El Capitan himself, the captain of the One and Done ship. He does the ship. I do the train. At MC Holland 34 on X, the OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Mike, what it do? It's Conference USA night.
Yes, it is, my friend. And for all of our One and Done breadheads, or anybody new joining us, why don't you go check out the first 20 conference previews that we've done? We started, about a month and a half ago, and we're rounding the corner here, man. So I'm pretty excited about that. As we got the chat kind of rolling in here, man. Under 50 days to this thing. And man, we're going to have so much content this year. It's going to be crazy. As Stakes Eye says, like you said, Conference USA, it's very, very patriotic right now. And Cam, handling business before we came on air, but it was a nice battle in our NCAA league. But I'm excited, man. It's just right around the corner. We were joking in like mid-June. It's like, oh, who's doing this in mid-June? And now we're literally in mid-September. So only weeks away, my friend.
Less than 50 days away, as a matter of fact, from opening tip. And we ain't slowing down, leading all the way up to it. Conference USA is on the menu tonight, if you will. Cam and Snake's Eyes have already hopped in the chat. Why don't you join them? Hit that subscribe button so you can do so. Hop in that live chat. Show your broskies in basketball some love. Join like almost 1,600. We're getting to 1,600 here before the season starts. Let us help us get there here. 1,566 something plus or minus. Get in there. This isn't a math show. This is a basketball show. So just push the button and worry about the numbers later. We appreciate you for doing that. Let's get to the overview, Mike, before we get to the world famous tiers. Last year, Conference USA was 9th out of 31 conferences in strength of conference, according to Ken Palm's metrics. Excuse me. Liberty fended off Jacksonville State and Middle Tennessee by a game to win the regular season crown. And then, like we've seen so many times, that double-double, toil and trouble. Liberty would go on to win the double, capturing the conference tournament championship by 13 points over Jacksonville State. Unfortunately, bad matchup, not your classic 5-12. Oh, Liberty's going to – Oregon just dismantled them 81-52. So not a great showing in the tournament, but, again, a top 10 showing overall in conference for Conference USA. Mike, what are your thoughts? Got a few new members coming into the conference this year. Is that going to help with the strength overall? Just wanted to get your thoughts on this conference before we broke everything down.
Yeah, so, one of the big things, at least, gathering information about this conference is that there's been so much realignment in this conference. Like this year, we're adding Delaware from the CAA, we're adding Missouri State from the MVC, and then, you looked who's left the conference: Charlotte, Florida Atlantic, North Texas, Rice, UAB, UTSA. That was a couple of years ago. And then they just recently added Liberty from the ASUN, along with Jacksonville State, New Mexico State, in here now. Sam Houston added Kennesaw last year. So it's just been like a revolving door. It just tells you that, nobody's staying put for very long, in the last 3-4 years in this conference, man. So hopefully it's settling down. It is widespread. ninth, right? And only a one bid league. That just tells you we've been talking about it basically the entire offseason is that when the power conferences are going to get 12, 13, bids into the NCAA tournament, when these mid majors finish ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, one, the seeds are not really matching what we've seen in the past. And two, we're not seeing a second member come in. So, just kind of one of those things to pay attention to, man. I think we're going to see another one bid league in this one, and it's going to be super, super competitive, especially up at the top.
The margins for error are super thin now because you've got these power conferences literally, I mean, we're talking
everyone
like
in
24 teams, whatever it is, 18 teams. They're big and there's a lot of good teams and they're going to all play each other and they're going to all give each other those boosts in strength of schedule. Yeah, exactly. Every night on some of those schedules are quad one games. So, Gotta take care of business down here in Conference USA these days. Liberty got the double last year. Who will do it this year? Let's talk about it, Mike. Let's get down here to the tiers. Make sure everybody hits all those buttons, like and subscribe, notification bells, so you don't miss a minute of our college basketball coverage. I think the people want to know, Mike, do blue hens lay blue eggs? I mean, this is somebody with the name Snakes in their name that feels like you'd be interested in eggs, perhaps for a diet. That's an interesting question, Snake. That
is a good question.
I don't know the answer to that. Robins lay blue eggs sometimes, I believe, right? The spotted blue eggs.
Oh man!
But I don't know if there's any. I don't know if there's any robins. I don't believe there's any robins in this conference, but there are blue hens, and let's get to them in our low tier. Mike, Delaware, joining from the Coastal here, Coach Martin Inglesby, entering year 10 with Delaware in a new conference, which is sort of probably refreshing and needing of a reset anyway, because basically came off one of the worst years in his tenure in Delaware last year. Now, when you have a bad year, Mike, sometimes the turnover on a roster isn't the worst thing in the world, right? So Coach Inglesby's going to have a couple of familiar names back, but it feels like a roster reset was sort of necessary.
Yeah, man, and it's kind of one of those things. Like they're a little interesting. Like I like the guard Kevin Riley. He shot 36% from three, average double figures for them. Justin Fernandez is kind of an X factor for them. He's from Providence. We saw when he got some usage and got some time, man. Like he was a pretty nice player for them. So, now coming down to Conference USA, obviously still a competitive league, but you expect him to get a lot of usage in this program. So we'll see if he has a big year. We could be talking about, obviously these guys jumping up into the mid tier here, but it's really going to be up to these power conference players. They have 4 other guys, but the problem is, like, when you look at their defensive profile, like, it's not great. I don't know how they're going to get stops. It's a recurring theme when we talk about the low tier. They were 324th in defensive efficiency adjusted last year, and Torvik thinks they're going to be in the 300s again. So when you get in these conferences, you're talking top 10 in strength of conference, and you're in the 300s nationally. It's just really, really hard to see a ceiling breaking out of the low. You got to be really good offensively, or at least have some surprises on the defensive end, man. So, yeah, we're gonna have them down here in the low tier. Sam Houston, the Bearcats. You got Coach Chris Mudge. They went 6-12 last year. He took over for Jason Hooten a couple of years ago, and he didn't really disappoint. But last year, obviously, a completely different story. The defense, once again, Jay, fell apart, and then they didn't take care of the ball. So, that's not, you cannot have that combination. That's just going to put you in the low tier no matter what. So now you lose Wilkerson, Finister, all these other guys that are out the door. So you're hoping that TCU forward Isaiah Manning is another guy, opportunity, right? So if he's able to take advantage of it, you got North Carolina Central guard, one of the best names in college basketball over the last couple of years, Po Boy King, who averaged 17 points per game. This is a step up in competition for him. Just not enough offensively around these guys. Just a lot of question marks here for Sam Houston as well.
All right, I want to ask you before I move on to Missouri State here. When you have a down transfer, a big dipper like we like to call him in Isaiah Manning, or a guard like Po Boy King coming up from North Carolina Central, what's more likely to happen? Like the TCU guy who steps down, really takes off and takes that step forward with his game, or a guard like Po Boy King steps into a Conference USA grind. And I'm not saying they think he's gonna average 16 points a game,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. Like, what's more likely to happen? Like Manning dropping down and taking that step, or Po Boy King stepping in and filling that sort of a role for the Bearcats?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to lean with the guys that come down for the power conferences because they haven't. We don't have the opportunity. We've got data on Po Boy King in the lower mids, right? We expect his efficiency to take a little bit of a hit. We just don't really know with someone like Isaiah Manning or some of these other guys that are down transferring, right? Like, so these guys have been practicing against Power Five competition, and unfortunately, not everybody gets to play when you're in the Power Five. And we've seen some guys make a name for themselves. A lot of guys make a name for themselves and then come back up, and some guys even stay. So, yeah, I think it's more likely that we see Manning obviously take a step forward. But if they're going to get out of this low tier, it's got to be like somebody like Po Boy King that is able to transfer some better efficiency to kind of go with those guys that are getting opportunity.
Yeah, that you were picking up what I was putting down there, good sir. They both got to sort of meet in the middle there and make it happen for Sam Houston to have any modicum of success this year. One more team down here in the low tier, the foundation, if you will, setting the tone down here at the bottom of the conference. The Missouri State Bears, another team now obviously coming in to Conference USA, this time from the MVC. Now, Conzo Martin coming in, really trying to find that spark again, right? Really just looking for anything to give him a boost and to find that energy to get things going. They were 2-18 in the MVC last year, Mike.
Yeah.
That again, this is not a math show, but that's not very good.
Yeah, that's not good.
So again, do you feel like it can get any better? Is there any? We obviously have them down in the low tier here, Mike. Yeah. Any glimmer of hope here for Bear fans? Or do they need to just bear down for a season? Thank you very much.
You'll see his way. He's here all week. Nah, man. Like, this is like, it's gonna be a fun team to watch. They have this kid. He's a forward. He's 6'4", like 270, 280. He's a forward. Michael Osai Bonsu, and he averaged 11 and 7 last year. He's not DJ Burns, but he's like DJ Burns light, essentially, like as far as like when you watch him play. So
are you telling me he's got like a little bit of Zebo in him? Like he's got that kind of a game?
When you're a 6'4" forward at nearly 300 pounds with the guard size, yeah, it's a fun watch, man. But man, for these guys to get out of the low, like they need these D2 guys that are coming in, or Darian Sutton could be a nice player from Georgia Tech. Didn't get to see much of him. He's kind of a breakout player, but even the problem is even if you get a breakout, if you don't get multiple guys to do that, then it's going to be tough, man. So MVC is a tough conference, but they're coming into one of the better mid majors. So probably another rough year here for Missouri State.
Yeah, I'm going to be staying up late on some ESPN Plus action watching Osai Bonsu from Missouri State. I mean, again, like, okay, I like the comparison. I like the DJ Burns comparison. I like those big refrigerator-looking guys that look like they can ice skate around, you know what I mean? That look like they're just gliding everywhere they go and fit in the tightest spots. He can single-handedly keep Missouri State at least at the bottom end of the mid-tier if he can meet his ceiling. We'll see how it goes for the Bears. Yeah, 2-18, Snakes Eyes, you're right. Not too great there. Hopefully they'll come out of hibernation and do a little bit better this year. That's all the Bear jokes I have, and that's all the teams we have in the low tier. So make sure you hit all those like and subscribe buttons if you made it through all of those jokes. There's plenty more to come as we get into the mid-tier of this conference. Before we get to the mid-tier, though, Mike, I want to remind everybody, make sure you follow our guy at Nate C. Hustle over there on X, the Hall of Famer himself, CC Hustle, pushing the buttons tonight. Shout out to Nate doing a good job. And then shout out to Eric the Blue getting the studio ready. Get that CUSA popping right behind there in the mid-tier. Look at that. Look at that graphics popping. Look at that. Good stuff there from Eric. The best follow-up. Best football follow, the best fantasy follow this side of the Mississippi. Mike, which side of the Mississippi, you ask? Whatever side you're on, that's the side. I promise you. He's the best one. All right. Let's get to the mid tier. Push that button. Boop. Nice. Right on time. Not always there when you call, but I'm always on time. Florida International Panthers 3-15 last year. So, okay, that screams low tier, right? Like, it must feel like something, Mike, that we see, that we're feeling. The last 5 years have kind of been a struggle, especially defensively now. But if you're not going to play defense, then you better be able to score the basketball. And we have a little bit of optimism on the offensive end that we think can carry them, Mike.
Yeah, I like what they brought in the portal, man. You got New Mexico State transfer Zowdy Jackson. He averaged 10 points, 3 assists, shot 38% from three. So it'll be a solid point guard for them. They have a lot of outside shooting next to him. You got Houston Christian transfer Julian Mackey. Yeah, USC upstate transfer Britt Harris on the wings there for them. Their defensive profile has a little more juice, especially if Larry Olyinka from Samford is able to give them like 20-ish minutes with his shot blocking ability. So I definitely don't mind it, but even with doubling their improvement, right? You're probably in 6 to the 7 win range. I think they can get up to the 8-9 win as far as a mid tier goes. But then you have Jacksonville State here, Jay, the Gamecocks, man. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, think about this ride that Ray Harper and this program has been on, right? How many different conferences can you run through since he took over in 2016? Well, I'll tell you, they were in the Ohio Valley when he started. And then, let's switch over to the A-Sun. Just for a couple of years, won the A-Sun, by the way, in 21-22, and then had a down year in 22-23. And then, let's just switch over to Conference USA. Different travel schedules, different things to get ready for, man. Like, it's tough to do. But, again, 12-6 in conference last year, coming off a nice year.
Yeah, I mean they are coming off a nice year. The one thing that about this conference, man, is like there could be some shuffling between the tiers, man. Like especially between this mid and this low tier. I feel like there could be some surprises. That's because there's a lot of down transfers in this conference that could make a huge difference. But these guys, man, they got some big shoes to fill because Jaron Pierre was an awesome player. He's out the door. So you expect like someone like Jamar Franklin, the guard. He's a talented scorer. He's just got to do more heavy lifting here. You got this kid, Mustafa El Motaikil. He's averaged 14.5 last year on 5 boards. He's going to be able to get them buckets too, man. But without Pierre, man, I just see a slight step back on both ends of the floor for these guys. So, yeah, while not 12 wins, 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there. And then you got the UTEP Miners. Mass exodus for Joe Golding. His whole roster basically hit the portal after they went 7-11, man. So one thing we know, it doesn't matter who's on the roster, they're going to play defense. Like he demands defense, and that's going to keep them in every game, which raises their floor. Now they're going to need some production offensively. Guys like Tyrese Watson, who comes in from Louisiana Monroe, could give them that. He averaged 12 points. 4 assists at the point guard position. You got Jamal West coming in from Nichols, a solid program, 12 points and 6.5 boards. So I don't think they're going to be like this offensive juggernaut, but even if they have like an average, just kind of an average year offensively, I think they're going to be really competitive nightly.
When you talk about guys transferring in and out in the levels of play, it's expected that Watson and West games will transfer over to Conference USA play. Like UTEP fully expects them to play at that same level for them, if not better. And if they're going to get out of the mid tier, then they're going to need them to even excel what they did last year on their former teams. I mean, Watson over almost 4.5 assists a game last year for Louisiana Monroe. Like if he can step in, keep the turnovers down, and find his teammates, be efficient with the ball, that's the sort of thing in these conferences, Mike, where it can jump a tier, can hang out.
100%.
Just hang around in that 500. And then all of a sudden you go on a 4 or 5 game streak because your point guard is leading you up. Your floor general is getting you up and down the floor. Like that can make or break you in a conference like this. So UTEP definitely has a shot to do that. What about Western Kentucky? Mike, the Hilltoppers, 8-10 last year. So, year 2 now for their coach, looking much different with the roster turnover, but probably a solid year. A lot's going to depend on the health of Terrion Murdix. not just one season on the shelf, man. 2 seasons,
Yeah.
coming back from 2 seasons injured. But again, if you can get 80% of that, I mean, obviously you want 100%. He's dangerous, man. Two ways. He's going to give it to you both ways when he's on the floor. And can the Hilltoppers expect him to get there? I don't know. I like, Grant Newell coming in from North Texas. We talked about him a lot on those DFS streets, man. Like,
Yep.
he's a guy that we talked about a lot. Go Mean Green, right? Cover your ears, Darren, if you're watching.
You missed the Mean Green reference, man.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know, man. What do you think of the front court duo for Western Kentucky, and then
Yeah.
anything else you want to talk about in this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be a tough front court duo with Grant Newell, Brian Telebange. He's a former P5 player. Spent some time at Arizona State. Now with McNeese, that really good program, still really didn't find his way. So we'll see what he can do. I mean, the size is going to be awesome for him. I think you just kind of pencil in Western Kentucky for 8 to 10 wins, and then man, here's a team that we had trouble with, and we didn't. So like, if we had a separate tier for like in between the mid and the high, we would put Louisiana Tech right in there because I'm not comfortable putting them in the high tier, but I don't think they're a mid-tier type team, man. But when you look at this conference and they're 9th overall in strength of conference, we expect them to be right around 10 or 11 right this year as a, kind of as a floor. It's tough when you get up here. Like, it's going to be an absolute dogfight. When you look at Louisiana Tech, man, like the reason you love them is, they're bringing back a guy like Caden Cooper at the wing. Average 10 points per game, nearly 8 boards, over a steal and a half. I do worry about their outside shooting, man. So we don't obviously have their graphic up here. That's because we probably want to slot them in between the high and the mid. Like, if you look at some places, they have them as a top 3 team in this conference. You look at other places, like Torvik doesn't really like them. They kind of like them in the middle, and I'm kind of in the same boat. So like, when you look at this team, like, they're gonna have some depth because they had a lot of JUCO guys that are coming in. But for the most part, man, this is a roster that is intact. I just, I don't love when you look at your roster and, AJ Bates is shooting 32%, Caden Cooper 29.5% from 3. You don't really, Will Allen doesn't really stretch the floor at the forward position. Scooter Williams at East Texas last year shot 24% from 3. Sir Isaac Heron, like, he shot 29% from 3 and didn't play last year, but the year before for Oral Roberts, man. So it's like, I get, and they're small too. Like, this isn't like the guys that you expect to play to be 6'7", 6'8", but they have some dudes that can play. So it's kind of one of those teams where you're like, okay, what are they? They're like the wild card of the Joker in this particular conference, man. I just like the teams up in the high tier way much better than I do Louisiana Tech.
Not that kind of Joker. Okay, all right. No Louisiana Tech logo on the graphic. However, again, remember, right in between the mid and the high tier, it's hard to get a grip on this team. And so for the sake of the conversation, right there, like mid/high, like high mid, whatever you want to call it, is where we'll go ahead and slot Louisiana Tech.
Because we got 4 teams in the high too, so it's like
yeah, exactly. So like, you got, this is a deep conference, man. And again, maybe a little top heavy, and maybe a little where I feel like these teams in the mid tier, so many of them, it wouldn't surprise me if any of those teams won 12 games.
Yeah.
The ceiling's there for all of them to be successful. The problem is when we put these teams into tiers, you have to consider the floor. And that's where most of those teams fall out, right? These teams that we're about to talk about in this high tier, Louisiana Tech being almost there. But then when we get to Liberty, Kennesaw State, Middle Tennessee, and then, of course, New Mexico State here in the high tier, these 4 teams now, Mike, all of them, especially Liberty, man. So there, we're going to get to the high tier. Push all those buttons, like and subscribe if you haven't already, right? We figured that you have. Shout out to Cam and Snake's Eyes for being in the chat tonight. We definitely appreciate that. Join them in there. Shout us out if you want to. Tell us what you think about the flames in the live chat. Don't flame. You could drop the flames in the live chat, the emoji, but don't flame us too bad, because we have Liberty in the high tier, 13-5 in the conference last year. And if you saw our offseason top 5 mid-major show that we did freaking what,
Yeah.
April, like
Wow.
May, whenever it was. It was probably before the summertime. Either way, it was a few months ago. Okay, and we had Liberty right there on that show. Coach Richie McKay has this team fine-tuned. Excuse me, fine-tuned, I tell you. They return like the tournament team when you a lot of times, Mike, when we talk about a team that wins a double-double, wins the regular season, wins the
Big on.
conference tournament, you talk about that mass exodus earlier, that exodus movement of Ja people. Ah, yeah. That's what you normally see. However, a bunch of that talent is returning to Liberty from that tournament team. Colin Porter, 9 points, 4.5 dimes. Caden Matheny, also back, 13.5 points, shot over 38% from three. That's not even the guy that I don't want to call him a jack of all trades and a master of none, because that would undermine how important he is to this team and just what Mr. Everything, Zach Cleveland, 11 points, 6.5 boards, 5 dimes, does it all for them. Isaiah Einen, 10.5 points, 38%, 39% from three, actually. They can all shoot. They're going to be solid on both ends of the floor. So now's the time to talk about the portal. Okay, you got the guys all coming back. How about Ryan Jones coming down from Virginia Tech? The Big Dipper coming down, red-shirted, has some size to really help them. We talked earlier in the show how Oregon just kind of beat the brakes off of them because
inside.
this is another team that just could not deal with the size of a power conference team. Now you come in with Ryan Jones, and their hope, Mike, is that he can help them sort of beef up a little bit, get a little bit tougher, bang around inside with some of the better teams, not only in Conference USA, but in all of the land, as they say.
Yeah, man, that's a key component for a lot of these teams that, like the mid majors, a lot of them got blown out, man. Especially some of the higher quality mid majors. You're like, oh, they lost by 30, but it's like, man, this is the size difference and the matchups that they got. Like, it was just kind of overwhelming. You look at Kennesaw State, and I really like what they have coming in, man. They play fast. They just need to take care of the ball, man. Like 328th in turnover percentage last year. Like, if they take care of the ball, they're gonna be a problem because they got this guard, Simeon Cottle, 18 points per game. He's gonna challenge for Conference Player of the Year. You add in someone like Davin Cosby from Wake Forest, a highly touted recruit. It's gonna be tough to stop both of those guys, man. Then this front court's pretty solid too. You have some rotation guys that are back. The one thing that kind of hindered this team, the outside shooting, man. Potentially the youth too is going to be an issue. They really only have one upperclassman here, so I do like Kennesaw State because I think this backcourt of Cottle and Cosby is going to be pretty tough.
It's tough when you're asking young players to help a team make that jump from 10-8 to, a premier team in any conference, right? So that's definitely a story to watch. How about Middle Tennessee? The Blue Raiders, Mike, 12-6 in the conference last year. And like outside of the 23-24 season, Coach Nicholas McDevitt has gotten this program in a position recently to compete near the top of the league on an annual basis. Last year, they did it with tremendous balance on both ends of the floor. However, replacing the law firm of Counter, Porter, and Weston in the backcourt is going to be tough. But it's fair to say they have some pieces to stay near the top. Western Illinois grad transfer guard Sean Smith, 10.5 points, 3.5 dimes. Good size for them. Playmaking to set the table. And then Northern Illinois transfer wing James Dent shot nearly 35% on 7 attempts per game last year from deep. So Kamari Lands, the former top recruit who had a nice year for them, trying to lock up one of those forward spots. This is the team, Mike, that I feel like 12-6, that sort of feels about right. For this team again. I don't know, man. It again,
kind of what they do,
does it all gel?
Yeah, that's the question.
Like, will it gel? Because the talent's there, obviously, right? But I'm not saying that it won't. But it's all got to go right.
Yeah, was that floor that you talked about?
12-6 can turn into 8-8. Real, I mean, 8 and that math doesn't add up. 8-10. Again, this is no math. Get me off of math and get to New Mexico State before this goes crazy. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So we got the old fighting Aggies of New Mexico State. You got Jason Hooten. This guy knows how to build a winning program, and he's done just that 3 years in. So full roster reset for him, but this talent is pretty undeniable. Like, you have a backcourt that features Elijah Elliott from SIU, Southern Illinois, 14 points per game, 35% from three. I like Jamil Jones from CSU Bakersfield. He averaged nearly 20 points per game, shot 35% from three. Like, they're going to be pretty good offensively. And then this front court, man, this is one guy that we talked about last year, like Julius Mims from Idaho. Like, the numbers are not overwhelming. 8.5 points, 6 boards. He's got so much upside, and he's going to be able to block some shots, play some defense for them. So they're going to be pretty balanced on both ends of the floor. And we have them in the high tier. They got that upside to finish near the top, man. But it's just, Jay, like, it's just hard to see anybody but, I mean, look at what Liberty has, man. Like, they have 3-4 all league type players. The coach has been there.
Yeah.
They're just a mainstay no matter what conference they seem to to realign with. So, I think it's going to be competitive. The one thing that they got to be careful of is in that conference tournament, man, because Kennesaw, Middle Tennessee puts it all together. New Mexico State on both ends of the floor. Like, you talked about Louisiana Tech. These mid-tier teams aren't these, they're not too shabby either. So double-double is going to be pretty tough. But, I mean, Liberty obviously going to be an odds-on favorite to win this conference and the conference tournament, I think, pretty easily.
Once you get to that conference tournament, though, zero room for error, Mike.
Yeah,
like we talked about earlier in the show, this is a one-bid league again, most likely. Most likely, this is a one-bid league again. So you can win the regular season crown by 2 or 3 games if it, if it all works out. But you got to win the conference tournament, and there's some teams that are going to push to do so to challenge Liberty. We have Kennesaw State, Middle Tennessee, and New Mexico State joining Liberty in that high tier. Right below there, no graphic, however, just I'm going to right there where I'm pointing, right there on that line.
The equator, yes.
Right there on the on the equator. Yeah, that's where Louisiana Tech goes, right there. Right in between the mid and the high, right there. Put Louisiana Tech right there. And then in the old mid tier, Florida International, Jacksonville State, UTEP, and Western Kentucky right there. And then down at the bottom, the low tier, the foundation of the conference, Missouri State, Sam Houston, and Delaware. 2 newcomers, Mike, hoping to make a bigger splash than we expect them to make. We'll see if Delaware and Missouri State can cause a little noise in Conference USA. Sam Houston obviously looking to get back to a little bit more glory. They don't want to live down there. We'll see if Coach Mudge can work their way out of that hole and do so. Man, what a good show tonight. Conference USA in the books. Mike, always good to talk these conferences. And I mean, what do we got? We got Sunbelt tomorrow.
Sunbelt to finish up the week. Yeah, back to back.
Watching Monday, which of course you are because you have your notification bells turned on and you're watching live. Then Tuesday, it's Sunbelt night. A little bit of Sunbelt action. I've been to we've been to a handful of those Bobcat games down there. We're familiar with some of these Sunbelt names. We'll be happy to talk about those. So come back and join us for a little bit of Sunbelt talk. We appreciate you, Snake's Eyes, for hopping in there. We appreciate
good to see you, Snake's Eyes.
Appreciate Cam, C.T. Huggins, C. Thuggin, a man of many names, but a man of principle, and the all-time winningest participant in the MC Holland 34 Invitational on DraftKings. Make sure you push that like and subscribe button so you can be around when we hit those DFS shows in the season. But we still got a lot of conferences that left to preview. This was what, 21, Mike? 10 more to go?
I think this is the Sun Belt's going to be the last one bid league that we're going to do before we get into multi-bid leagues. So that'll start the following week, man. We're here.
We're there. Yeah. We're there. Less than 50 days away as we film right now until tip 49, I believe, as we speak live to the masses. It's right around the corner. We know football is going on, and that's great, and we watch it too. But,
100%.
We're talking college basketball year-round here on One and Done, so make sure you push all those buttons and hop on with us. We'd love to hear from you. If you're watching live, if you're watching later, it doesn't matter. Push all those buttons, and, let us know what you think. Follow our guy at Fantasy Nav in those Twitter streets, Eric the Blue. Follow our guy, the Hall of Famer himself, CC Hustle. Follow him at Nape C Hustle, Nape, the letter C. Hustle, Hussle, Nape C Hustle right there. Follow him Yes, checking daily for a slate to be posted on DK. Yes,
That's
Cam.
yeah, me too.
Trust me, man. We'll be on it. Don't worry. I'm sure we'll all. You guys will be playing college football, talking about it. We'll be tweeting about it. Like, it'll be out there. So we'll all be on it for sure. Good to see you, Cam. Good to see Snake Eyes. Good to see everybody. We see a lot of you hanging in the lobby. We appreciate you too. So follow Dave C. Hustle. Follow Fantasy Nav. Follow this man right here at MC Holland 34, the captain of the one and done ship, the OG Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. Good stuff as always, my friend. I'll see you tomorrow night for a little bit of Sunbelt talk. Fun Belt, Sunbelt. It's happening on a Tuesday. Shout out to you for hanging out with us. Tell somebody you love them. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time. My name is JAYHEINRICH. Come again. Peace.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.